What if the same fire that made Max a legend is now the flame that threatens to consume him? There's a line every driver fears crossing, and it's not the white lines on the corner or the checkered flag. It's the moment where control begins to slip, where instinct becomes impulse, where focus gives way to frustration. Maybe you felt it too when passion turns into pressure, when the fire inside pushes you forward until it starts burning through everything in its path. If you felt that, drop a comment. For Max Verstappen, that moment came in Spain, 2025. The race began tense. He drove like a man chasing perfection. 3 pit stops, flawless execution, pushing harder than anyone else on the grid, even as others conserved tires and fuel. Then came the safety car. Max, now on hard tires, was vulnerable, slower than everyone around him. The restart brought chaos. First, contact with Leclerc, who later took responsibility. But the rhythm was broken. Then came Russell, a bold move, some would say risky. He lost the car and pushed Max wide. That's when something inside shifted. Red Bull asked Max to give the position back to the same driver who had just forced him off, in his view. To Max, it wasn't just strategy. It felt like the rules were being rewritten mid-race. So he responded on his own terms. He slowed, let Russell through, then launched a decisive counterattack. Bold, aggressive, intentional. They touched again as Russell turned in. And in that moment, the paddock paused. The team radios went quiet. For the first time in years, Max Verstappen didn't look like the cold, composed champion. He looked like a man overwhelmed by the same intensity that once made him unstoppable. This was the turning point, and it didn't come from failure. It came from something far more dangerous. When the fire that once lifted you starts to burn without direction, because this didn't start in Spain. It's been building slowly, quietly for years. Max didn't snap because he was beaten. He snapped because, for the first time, the world he mastered stopped making sense. But before the tension, before the chaos, Max Verstappen was nearly unstoppable. In Brazil 2016, he dropped to 16th after a questionable tire call, but still finished on the podium in the rain. In Austin 2021, he defended against Hamilton on fresher tires, which showed his incredible ability. In 2022, he won 15 races, the most in a single season. He wasn't just leading the grid, he was dominating it. In Belgium that same year, he started 14th. And still took the win. And by 2023, he was beyond competition. The only thing left to beat was history itself. Every time others hesitated, Max surged forward. Every time the odds stacked up against him, he found a way through. The fire was always there, but back then, it was refined. It was precise. It was under control. Now, that same fire is beginning to feel different, less calculated, more reactive. Across the 2021 and 2024 seasons, the signs began to appear. The sharp edges, the short temper, the rising intensity in interviews. Penalties started to build. Fines were issued. His press conferences sometimes crossed lines of diplomacy. Eventually, the governing body intervened, assigning community service penalties, a clear message to cool the momentum. His radio messages changed too. What once were clinical calls became emotional reactions. Complaints about the car, the brakes, the clutch. At times, he described the car as undrivable, and when the car didn't meet his expectations, his response felt more intense than usual, like it struck a deeper frustration. The same fire that once made him unstoppable was now threatening to burn out of control. But this didn't come from a single incident. The signs have been there, slowly building, quietly showing cracks in the composure of a once unshakable champion. Brazil 2018. Max Verstappen was dominating, beating the untouchable Mercedes. He had passed Hamilton and was on course for a flawless win, until a lapped backmarker Ocon attempted to unlap himself. They made contact, spin, victory lost. Max was visibly furious, not just in the car, but after. In the paddock, under the public eye, he confronted Ocon. He pushed him. Emotions ran high. It was the first public glimpse of something we now understand more clearly. Max doesn't let go easily. especially when he feels something was taken unfairly. From the beginning, it was clear he was built differently. Critics compared him to Schumacher and Senna, daring, raw, sometimes reckless. Collisions in his early career weren't uncommon, but neither was greatness. And over time, he transformed that raw energy into precision. But what happens when the world around you starts to shift? That's the difference now. The pressure, the constant weight of staying number one. It sharpens you, but it can also make you guarded, defensive, on edge. Every race feels more personal. Every penalty, every strategy call, every mechanical flaw starts to feel like something more than just misfortune. And it's not just rivals he's facing, it's the inconsistency, the rule changes, the gray areas in decisions, the media who often lift others up while questioning him. Even his own team with strategy calls will revisit later. That calm, controlled fire we saw for years, it's starting to flicker. The fire is still there, but the control, that's what's beginning to slip. Greatness always comes with a cost, and sometimes you don't see the price until you're already at the top. He's been called a hothead, a prodigy, a problem, but Max Verstappen didn't get here by playing it safe. From the start, he was taught to fight, to make the moves others wouldn't, to overtake on corners, because, as his father once said, anyone can pass on the straights. He wasn't just racing, he was proving something. Every lap, a test of resilience. Every win, a statement. Back then, when critics came for him, he took the pressure in stride, let the noise bounce off his helmet. But now, the spotlight has shifted. The pressure isn't just on him, it's around him. And when the people closest to you come under fire, that same inner fire, the one that made you a champion, can flare in unexpected ways. What once looked like explosive passion now comes across as something different, emotional, unfiltered, volatile. He hears the voices on the radio, orders, corrections, instructions laced with tension. One moment they ask him to stay composed. The next, it feels like they're fueling the storm. Even the team seems uncertain, caught between relying on his brilliance and managing his intensity. The crowd sees risk-taking. The stewards see intent. But for Max, this has always been more than just racing. It's a mindset, a battleground. The same drive that once made him untouchable now threatens to blur the line between focus and fury. He's not just racing competitors. He's confronting perception, confronting pressure, and resisting the slow erosion of the one thing no champion can afford to lose control. So now, Max stands at a crossroads. The fire that once lifted him to greatness, that made him fearless, relentless, legendary, now risks burning out the very world he built. He can keep pushing, challenging rivals, facing critics, questioning decisions, but at what cost? Or he can adapt. He can evolve that fire into something sharper, not just intensity, but clarity, because even the fiercest flame needs direction. I wasn't in the spotlight like Max, but I felt the same burn, working longer, showing up when I had nothing left in the tank, watching others get support while I was told to just keep going. It wasn't bitterness, it was confusion. I didn't resent anyone, I just didn't understand why the rules felt different. And that sparked something in me. Not anger, but resolve. I told myself, if no one's going to back me, I'll do it alone. And that mindset worked for a while. It pushed me, drove me, made me succeed in ways I thought mattered. Until it didn't. Because eventually, I wasn't being driven anymore. I was being drained. The same energy that had fueled my ambition started burning through the things I cared about. My drive became impatience. My pride became isolation. And I realized I wasn't upset with them. I was struggling with the version of myself I'd become. If that resonates, let me know in the comments. You're not alone. That's when I discovered philosophy. And the Stoics reminded me of something powerful. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, if you are disturbed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. Max has always drawn energy from the world around him. But at this level, unchecked emotion can become a liability, because when you shift your perspective, you start taking back control. And as Nietzsche warned, he who fights with monsters should look to it that he himself does not become a monster. And when you gaze long into an abyss, the abyss also gazes into you. Max has battled countless pressures, tough decisions, media scrutiny, rivals pushing limits, and intense internal demands. But when all you do is fight, you start to change. The challenge isn't just external anymore, it's internal. That fire, once his greatest ally, now risks becoming a burden. Because the longer you fixate on what's wrong, the harder it becomes to see what's still right in yourself. Maybe you've felt that too, fighting so hard to hold it all together. You forget who you were before the battle began. This isn't a warning about weakness. It's a reminder about self-awareness, about not losing yourself while trying to win. The real question now isn't just what Max Verstappen will do, it's who he'll become. Will he keep pushing until the fire burns everything down, or rise again with clarity, with control, maybe even with a new direction? That chapter is already being written. Why Max might walk away from Red Bull and where he'll go next. If it's live, you'll find it right here. And if not, hit subscribe so you don't miss it.